Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video with Swaggle Haas. You know, sometimes there's a comic that comes out in the market that is so hot, so loved, so epic, so popular, that not only does it become one of the top comics on all the hot lists that week, it actually causes other comic books to get hot in the comic book market. Now, the book, of course, I'm talking about is Ultimate Spider-Man #1. But this video, we're going to talk about that other comic book that is now hot in the comic book market. Apparently, all you need to do now, Marvel, is put Ultimate on the trade dress of whatever comic book is coming out. Because if you do, people are going to buy it. Because in this video, we got to talk about this Ultimate Black Panther #1 setting the comic book market on fire this week. Why is it so hot? Why is it selling for so much? Is the comic book actually any good? I don't know, and nobody knows because nobody has actually read it yet. So in this video, we're going to talk about all of these things. But of course, before I get into it, if you guys could like, comment, subscribe, I would appreciate it. Help support the channel, do those things. But let's get into this video here today. Now, I know you guys are already saying, I read Ultimate Black Panther. I love the story. I know, guys, it's a joke. I'm making jokes here. But let's focus up here and talk about this comic book that came out this week, Ultimate Black Panther #1, the new kind of hotness out there in the secondary market, absolutely blowing up out there. And this is really, really interesting. Now, I don't want to be dismissive of the work that was actually done in this book, but there is no denying that this book is moving a tremendous amount in the market simply due to FOMO and speculation reasons, because of everything that happened with Ultimate Spider-Man #1, the Jonathan Hickman story that came out a couple weeks ago, how that book moved, you know, immediately after coming out. What is this app? Fish is back? Can we not? I'm trying to do a show right now. You know, everything moved with this book in the market. Everything moved out there. You know, the week that this came out, the secondary market, the prices on eBay were absolutely crazy. And we're feeling that trickle over effect now into this book right here, which, of course, if you guys don't know, Marvel is kind of doing its push towards its Ultimate Universe. And it really has opened up kind of an interesting discussion out there, both in the behavior of consumers, but also, you know, just sort of the minds of speculators. You know, anytime we have characters that are now related to either the Spider Universe or the Black Panther universe, those seem to be the characters that cause the most FOMO and secondary market increases, you know, the week of their releases, at least for these last few years or so. I mean, if you think of like Spider-Boy and anything coming out of the Spider Universe, and then you think about like some of the other hot keys related to Marvel, like, you know, if we're thinking about the first new costume of Black Panther, we're thinking about Tosin Aduye, a character in the Black Panther universe. These two characters and universes seem to be the things that people get really, really excited about, you know, outside of a variant cover. But let's focus in now and talk about the secondary movement here for this book. Mind you, this is a cover price book, right? This is a, you know, $5.99 open order book that would come out, you know, just this week. But you can already see sold listings on eBay. I mean, $28.99, $29.99. Here's a variant right here, $22.27 with a $14 shipping cost from Canada. You know, another $30 listing right here. Here you have a variant cover. This one's selling for $15. It does seem like the cover A, much like the Spider-Man one, is the one that is most desired out there in the market. I think people are mostly buying it because of what it represents, as opposed to, say, the aesthetics. You know, they need to see that cover because the cover right now is the one that people are identifying as the key book. We got a $25 sale right here, another slash price of $40, $29, $24. I mean, you can just kind of scroll down here, guys, and you can see, I mean, again, run the Benny Hill music, right? You know, I mean, see how many copies of this book have been moving out there on eBay, and it is pretty impressive. We have pages of this stuff, and I don't think it's going to slow down anytime soon. A lot of people buying this up because of Ultimate Spider-Man #1 success from what happened when this book initially came out. I mean, if actually we check on some of the prices right now, I mean, this book is still selling, really, really high. I mean, last time when I did a video about the secondary market report for this book, the copies were at that time selling around the $50, $55, maybe $60 level. I mean, here you can see most recently a $70 sale. You got a $30 for the variant cover, but of course we're talking about the A covers here. $65 for the A, $64 for the A, $60 for the A right here. So still holding up, as far as its value is concerned. Now, I made mention, I think that there will be a point when this book cools back down. But what's really interesting about this, and what's really interesting about the whole conversation going on with, this book right here versus this book right here, is that this one had an organic taking off. League of Geeks, what is with all these advertisements? What are we doing here, guys? I remember, hold on, sidebar, guys. Remember when websites used to not have advertisements all over themselves? Like, what world are we living here? Why do I see with Nation, we have equipment, we have... why would I need to rent a Bobcat? I feel like the targeted advertising is like all over the place. I mean, at least try to sell me some Rogaine or something. I mean, something a little more, appropriate for the demographic. Yeah, I'm calling us all out, guys. I mean, it's getting hard out there. It's a little more thin on the top of our heads these days. It's a little more thin because of all the FOMO that's going on. Swaggle focus up. Let us talk about this book right now. But as I was saying, it was an organic, sort of FOMO for this thing because people were excited about the story. This was a return to, Peter Parker, Mary Jane, Hickman coming in. People just loved the storytelling in this. And that is what made it exciting for a lot of people. And that's what became so, valuable with it. That's why the secondary market prices were able to hold up so much, because people actually had an attachment to the story, to what was going on in the interior of the book. But now, we have this book blowing up on the secondary market, but now we're back into that FOMO speculation world where before this book has even been read, before, the reviews for this thing even came out. And again, I'm not saying that this book isn't great. I don't actually know because I haven't actually read it, because I can't actually read it because it's sold out of all the LCSs out there, because people are buying up 3 and 4 copies of it because they're looking to flip it on the secondary market. But I digress. The point is, we're back in this space where people are now speculating on the idea of people falling in love with this book and having nostalgia for it. And that's going to be why this one is going to be expensive. And that's really, sort of the thing that we have to remember, talk about here as comic book collectors, is that if there are no emotional attachments to what's going on in the interior of the book, well, you have to be careful with how this thing eventually is going to correct back down for the prices, because someone is always going to try to sell this book. And eventually, when there's less hype, when there's people who didn't actually care to own it because they didn't actually care about the story, that's when the prices are going to tank. But let's talk about this book for a second. Why is it actually hot? What's going on here? Well, apparently it is the first full appearance of the new Ultimate Black Panther, aka nothing really specific going on, okay? This is the reboot of the Ultimate Universe, not even the OG Ultimate Universe, and we have a T'Challa book in there. We got a bunch of variants for this thing. I don't think, like I said, the variants are selling as much as the cover A, for obvious reasons. I think most people want to have the cover A, but, again, there's been a lot of hype about this right here. Not to say that people haven't been reading it, but there was definitely a lot of press circling this book. But again, I think the excitement of this book mostly has to do with the fact that, as you can see right there, in the #1 spot of cover price, again this week, is Ultimate Spider-Man #1. So this book alone is pulling up the desirability and the interest of this book, already going to the #4 spot, which is absolutely insane. I mean, it's actually really insane that we have quite a few books coming out this week that are in the top spots right here, #2 and #3. I mean, these Chip Zdarsky ones, about, I don't know, a new Captain America and a new Bullseye Iron Man, or whatever the case is. And then we have, covers like X-Force, being meme books on the top 10 as well. But really, it is the interior pages of Ultimate Spider-Man #1 that makes this thing so exciting, and has trickled over to this book as well. But all that being said, let's give this book some flowers. Let's give Marvel a few flowers right here. It's been a long time since we've felt this kind of excitement for new comic books out there in the secondary market. And I know it's very, very quick for us to dismiss this stuff as FOMO and speculators and, kind of be flippant about it. But ultimately, I mean, it's a good thing. We need new comic books to be hot out there and excited in the market. I mean, if a movie sells out, during a weekend, that's a good thing. If concert tickets sell out, for the weekend, that's a good thing. If comic books sell out of comic book stores, when they're released, that's a good thing. That is the sign of a healthy market, of a healthy industry, and you need a bunch of this stuff happening. And yes, it's unfortunate for people who want the book on the secondary market, but that is what it is, for anything, even if you want to get, tickets from scalpers. Now, the last little thing we have to talk about, speaking of scalpers, is that it's been also a while since we've had to have that conversation of, people going into stores and buying up multiple copies of comic books so that they can flip a couple on the secondary market. We have the return of the dirty flipper with this specific book right here. All kinds of posts on social media going on. Oh, I picked up one copy for myself and I picked up 2 copies, just in case. And it's like, come on, we know what those just in case copies are. And you're like, no, I want to be able to read one and then I want to be able to save one. Well, save one for what, guy? I see you buying all those bags and boards trying to make sure that there's no spine ticks on your comic book. What are you trying to do with that? Huh? There's nothing wrong. If you want to sell it, go ahead and sell it. I mean, it really opens up that whole discussion of LCSs, only selling 1 copy per customer, or some LCSs, are willing to sell their entire store to the same customer if that one customer wants to buy out all of those books. And I think that I will wrap up this video here today with sort of that question. What do you guys think about that aspect to comic collecting, to LCSs, selling multiple copies to the same person? It's been a while since we've actually had that conversation here on the channel because there just frankly hasn't been any books where there's been an issue like that. But we actually have that going on right now with Ultimate Black Panther. A lot of speculators thinking that this is going to be the next book to go to the moon. A lot of people buying up multiple copies, and a lot of people trying to cash in on the FOMO going on and flip them on eBay. But you got to be a little bit careful because unlike Ultimate Spider-Man #1 that had the organic rise, I do think Ultimate Black Panther #1 is a little bit more, standing on thin ice with its popularity right now, because I'm not as convinced that the story for this is the thing that has made it hot, although maybe it is a really good comic book. Anyways, that's all I got for this video. That was an interesting kind of thing going on right now in comic book newsland this week. Ultimate Black Panther, joining the hot list, all the various hot lists. I'm sure that this is going to be a book that is going to be on those hot lists for the next couple of weeks or so, but it'll be interesting to see if it falls off a lot faster than that of Ultimate Spider-Man #1. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about all these topics. Thanks so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. See you on the next one.